Today I'm going to be making pumpkin pie out of these two petite pumpkins. I am going to put one with an open top, and I gutted it, and the other one I'm just going to put it in the firebox. First I start by putting a bag of kindling in and get that going. Today is going to be a pumpkin pie experiment. I wanted to see how to make pumpkin pie from scratch, including the pumpkin. And I've had lots of experience with taking squash and roasting those inside my wood burning oven. And I thought that pumpkins would just do the same because pumpkins are squash. So I have the two pumpkins, and I have taken the lid off of one like you would a jack-o'-lantern, and I took the seeds out, and show you a little time lapse of that if you want to see it, because it's exciting things. And yeah, so there I am, just taking all the seeds out, and then at the end I decided to see what it would be like if I put the spices in while I was cooking the pumpkin down, to see if it would help incorporate some of the flavors. There's the clove and nutmeg, just a scant of nutmeg. Anyway, I'll have the full recipe in the whatever. So I took the pumpkins, and basically I didn't even wait for the oven to get up to temperature. You really can just put them in early on, because they'll just keep heating up. The closer they are to fire, they get direct heat as opposed to radiant heat. And while that's in there, I'm going to make the pie crust, starting off with margarine. And for this pie crust, I took the margarine and put it in the freezer to help with the making of the crust, because you want that to be really cold, and it just helps set it up better. So there goes the butter in the freezer. And then during the cooking process, you kind of have to keep rotating the pumpkins, because they're right next to that hot fire, and they will get burned, as you'll see. The one on the left already has a little spot. It's very forgiving to cook squash in this oven, because I'm not eating the skin, and the smoke flavor from the burning of the flesh on the outside doesn't really get into the pumpkin. All right, back to finishing the pie crust. That is I think it's a cup and a half of flour, and then I took the 6 teaspoons of margarine. Do a little flash till you want that to get into like granular, almost like chunky sand. And so you're just pulsing that through, and then you're going to add ice cold water, and then run that until it turns into a dough ball, which happens really magically here. And there you go, one dough ball. I know I have to make 2 of them, it's okay. Popping that out, gonna get a parchment paper first. Yeah, just kind of want to make sure that's pliable. Parchment paper, put that in the refrigerator just to keep it cool. And keep rotating those pumpkins. They're looking nice and steamy. That is the spices in the bottom there. So this was kind of a scientific experiment to see what would happen with the 2 pumpkins. And I did notice that they did cook differently. One that was open and one that wasn't open. Here we are doing putting the pie crust in cast iron. I did not have all of my pie pans are ceramic, and I did not want to break any of those in with my stone floor oven. So I'm using cast iron today, and you'll see the differences of that too. You can see the steam coming out. That is the pumpkin I did not cut, and I did not puncture it with a fork either, so it kind of made its own airways for the steam to escape. And just cutting open that one pumpkin that I did not prep beforehand, and it turned out awesome, as you'll see here in a second. So got a nice soft flesh inside, and that's me peeling it and putting it, and I'm going to put it in the processor and puree that. So that's a cup and a half I'm getting going there. And then that is a block of silken tofu. I'm a vegan, so I'm making this plant-based. And getting everything good. I toasted up the pie shell, and that is ready to go. And here I am filling into the pie. And you'll notice that this one just poured in really nice. This is I did this one with the silken tofu, and then I wanted to see if I had just a block of firm tofu for the next pie crust. You'll see in a second. And the differences of cooking with each of those. And then, so that goes in, and also because of the way that the fire is, you have to kind of keep turning the pan around in the oven, which is why I didn't do two at once. I just did one at a time, and it's already splitting and looking like your traditional pumpkin pie. This one's looking a little rustic with the pie crust on the edge, and didn't have a nice clean edge to it because this is like a 3.5 deep pan. The other one you'll see in a second is more of a pie size. So, but it's looking really good. I'm really pleased with it. It took about 14 minutes in this oven. It's running, the oven temperature is around 500 degrees, and I did a temperature on the bricks, and they were running around 500, and then the pie itself was around 350.
Getting ready to pull it out.
So we got that, and there it is. You can see blisters on the top. It looks really nice. The crust really looks rustic, which is kind of fun. I wasn't preparing this for anyone except for myself, so I wasn't concerned about how it looked, but just the process of cooking it in the wood burning oven. All right, on to pie number 2. And this one has a shallower pan, and then I decided to get fancier with it because, you know, I already did the first one and I felt pretty confident at this point in time, so then you'll see I kind of neaten the edge up a little bit better than the other one. And then we go toast that shell into the oven, and meanwhile we'll prep the other pumpkin. So this pumpkin had a harder outside, and I think it's just because the steam was able to exit the top and it didn't have to go through. And then the other thing was it was really easy to peel all of the pumpkin out of off the shell because it kind of separated a little bit. And yeah, you can see how it's just kind of a hard shell, like a gourd wood, and the other one was softer throughout. So that was the advantage of cutting the roof out of it and gutting the seeds, and I didn't have to deal with the seeds also when I pulled it out. And I just basically just took it all with the spices and everything and put it in. I didn't notice too big of a difference. Oh, okay, there's a block of tofu. That's just firm tofu, not extra firm, just firm. And one of the reasons I wanted to do that is just to see if I could cut down on the moisture content and have the pie set up firmer, which it did. There was not a big difference between the tofus, I want to say, after eating them both. So I did not put in all of the spices. I definitely cut back on those. And then here it is, you can see the difference. It doesn't just pour in, it's just kind of got to dump that in. And even to the point I needed to use my second hand here, which is nice. Had a nice creamy texture to it. Cooking the pumpkin and pureeing it yourself, I didn't even notice a difference from getting it from a can. And it definitely tasted better. All right, and then we're gonna put in the second pie in. it is done in about, I think this was the same cook time, about 14 minutes. It's split and just looking really pretty, like a pie coming out of your kitchen oven. And don't have a flame in there. It's all radiant heat that was cooking everything.
Smells so good right now.
All right, let's get that pie out of there. That's that looks like a great pie. All right, it's time for the taste test. We're gonna go side by side. The one on the right is just the pumpkin unpunctured and with silken tofu. The one on the left is the one that I made with just firm tofu and had cut the top off the pie to have it cooking. There was no difference in the flavors of each pie as far as the pumpkin goes. It was just mostly getting the the pumpkin out to puree it. And the one on the left just came out of the oven, and I kind of jumped the gun a little bit and cut it. It's still a little hot and a little too soft. Later on, it firmed up just like the other one, and they were both great pies. I just want to show you me cutting into them for the taste test. That one was awesome. But I highly recommend. I would do this again. I will do this again.